Have you got any problems, aches, pains, patterns that you think might benefit from the Alexander technique?
Well, not knowing an awful lot about Alexander technique, to be fair. I do have issues. I have issues on one side of my body, it tends to be my neck, and also in my lower sort of hip spine, just right here. So I think it's just a lot of tension, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah. Has that been there for a long time?
Yeah, so I just kind of ignore it, basically.
You work through it?
Yeah, don't have an option really.
Yeah.
So it's not the end of the world, I move a lot. So.
Yeah. So I understand you're a ballet dancer, teacher, trainer, I'm not sure which.
Teacher, used to be a dancer, so yeah.
And that's an ongoing everyday thing still?
Pretty much every day, a lot.
Yeah.
All ages as well, up to 90.
Wow, and the youngest?
At the moment, 11. I used to teach Littlese, but I'm kind of done.
An 80-year range of professional contact, that's quite something, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I can see you love it.
I do, very much.
Okay, so we're going to have a first lesson, but the main thing is that I just demonstrate how I'd work with a whole variety of different people that are very kind to volunteer themselves for this demonstration. Okay. Do you know the basics of what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to use my hands, I'm going to guide you, I'm going to move you around. You'll be doing simple activities like sitting and standing, maybe a bit of walking, nothing overly onerous. I won't ask you to demonstrate any ballet moves for me. But we could, but it's not necessarily part of a lesson.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably not conducive to what you might do.
Well, it might be. It could be relevant, but maybe not in the first session. And if there's time, we'll do a bit of lying down work as well. Okay. Have you got any questions before I throw you in the deep end?
No, not really. I don't think so, because I don't really know exactly what's going to happen. So.
Okay. As we're starting, have you got any sensations of tension or aches and pains?
Just here and here.
The usual. So that's there pretty much, even though you're working through it every day, you have those sensations as an ongoing reality.
Yeah.
So is it bothersome?
No.
You just live with it, as you say.
You kind of get past the pain, well, when it sort of goes, because I've had a couple of trapped nerves down here. My spine, sometimes the lower spine gets really painful, because the pressure, but it kind of, the pelvis kind of slips.
Yes.
I've treated for that before. When I say slips, it kind of goes
skews on one side.
Yeah, so of course it then has a sort of ongoing effect, and I've had sort of sciatic trapped nerves down to my knee, which is uncomfortable. At the moment it seems to be alright, but didn't help when we were online and I was teaching in a tiny space, holding onto a chair for hours every day, like this, because the chair was too
yes.
rather than your ballet bar.
Yes.
So, but it's there, but it's not bothersome at all.
So just as a rough idea, out of 10, how strong is the sensation?
Oh, I don't really know, to be honest. Maybe 1, 2.
Okay, so nothing extreme.
Yeah,
it's
I've
just
got kind of quite a high pain threshold.
Yeah, so it's that a dull sensation in the background.
Yeah, I just noticed it because I'm quite body aware. So.
Okay, so because you're body aware, which is great, I might ask you every now and again if it goes up to 3 or 4, or down to half or 1 and whatever. Okay, and then we'll see where we go. Okay. All right, and feel free while we're working to ask any questions. Okay. All right. The most important thing, Tamara, is for you to know that you can't get anything wrong in this lesson. Okay. I can do plenty wrong because I'm the demonstrator, but you can't, obviously, because you're here just to support me doing what I'm doing. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do very simple things like I might move your head, as simple as that, and every time I ask you to do something, I'll give you a full instruction of what I want from you. So at the moment, I'm going to be the mover. Okay. And you're doing the best you can to let me move you. And even that you can't succeed or fail. In other words, everything actually is a success. And I'm going to move your head to different positions, none of which are right or wrong, if that makes any sense. In other words, I'm not correcting you. I'm simply moving you to another position. Okay. And that goes for the posture as well. It goes for what's happening in the back. So you can see at the moment I'm simply rotating the head, left, right, up, down, and maybe even in a circular fashion. Okay, and then I'm going to move an arm, and I've got the weight of the arm now. I've got the weight of your left arm. Were you once a performing ballerina?
14 years.
Wow. Did you get any injuries?
Yeah, a couple, but nothing. Well, got over them. Put it that way.
What age did you actually start preparing and doing ballet training and sessions?
Well, what age I started dancing? 3.
Yeah. At 3?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, let me keep on moving, that's it. So you're the allower, you're the letting me move you, and I'm the one that's deciding where your head is going. And I might ask you to do weird things. I might ask you to do a little slump for a while in your lower back. So do a little bit of a slump here. Yeah. And maybe a little bit more of a slump. Yes. Yeah. That probably feels, I don't know, actually, well, maybe I won't put words in your head, but what does that feel like you're doing with your back at the moment? As in, what shape? Like a C shape, or a slump, or slightly C?
Right.
Yeah, okay, certainly not, certainly not upright. No. Okay. I brought my trusty prop. So if you look at yourself like that, would you say you look like you feel?
I look straighter than I feel.
Yes. Yeah, good. So remember that comment, that you look straighter than you feel. In other words, you've probably felt you're a little bit more here than the reality. Yeah. It's not a trick mirror. So sometimes we might hold ourselves in a way that feels just normal straight, and there might be some elements of a little bit more than you believe, but a bit more than is happening in reality. So there's a mismatch between reality stroke mirror and sensation. So sensations aren't always reliable, which is a fascinating concept. Yeah. Alexander had a rather rigmarole of a sentence to describe it. He called it faulty sensory appreciation, or you can't rely on feelings as an accurate guide. Faulty sensory appreciation. Anyway, so you're staying in this condition of being or feeling slightly soft or slightly rounded, yeah? Yeah. Okay. And let me take you forwards. So you're probably at the same time as being a little bit more, let's call it, less straight, it'll feel perhaps wrong on some level, as in, again, I won't put words in your head. When you feel a bit wrong like this, what do you feel? What's the experience of feeling wrong?
I'm not sitting with a straight back.
Good. Remember that? Yeah, so remember that one. That's a really useful experience, that you don't feel you're sitting with a straight back, which would imply that one ought to sit with a straight back. Oh, that's good.
That's what I always do.
That's what everyone, yes, most of us are brought up being told, sit up straight. But say your version of straight isn't necessarily a totally accurate reflection of straight, then it becomes a very interesting feeling, isn't it? Yeah. As in, I'm supposed to sit up straight, I'm going to make sure I sit up straight, but maybe my version of straight isn't the same as the mirror. Not identical. I'll take you further forwards again. So you're feeling a bit wrong, maybe a bit naughty, because we're supposed to sit up straight. And we'll see where we go with that. I'm going to take you over your feet. That's good. And wait there. What's the sensation in those two areas you were telling me about before that are rather dull and bothersome, the neck and the lower back?
As I'm going down, I notice that as I'm starting to sit, that I can actually relax that part a little bit easier.
That's right, that's right. So when you go down, that part of you that may sometimes feel a bit achy, it seems to be softening on the way down. That's right. What does that do to the sensation of discomfort?
It just feels like a little bit of a release.
It feels like a release.
It's like I know I'm kind of gripping.
There's less gripping. Yeah, I think that's very accurate. There's a little less gripping in that area, so less of a sensation of ouch.
Yeah.
But at the same time, on some level, it still feels that you're not sitting up straight or doing the so-called right thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can you manage being a little bit feeling wrong for a while?
Yeah.
You okay with that? Okay. Keep on looking out to the window. Now I'm going to move all of you over to the left and back to the center and then over to the right. And hold it there for a while. And then my hands are going to be saying to you, there's nothing you need to do in the neck or spine, nothing at all. And all I'm asking you to do right now is to stand up with your heels. And then I want you to bend the knees. Nothing, still, heels. And then bend the knees. And then heels, and all the way up. What else about that quality of movement as you're coming in and out of a chair that registers?
That I feel like I'm using my whole body to stand up.
Rather than?
Just standing up.
Yes, what would normally...
Well, I would just normally just stand up with a straight back.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
So to move with my body feels a bit strange, like a bit alien to me.
Yeah, yes. So you're more of you is participating. Your legs are participating in a different way as well.
Totally.
And then onto your toes. And then come down to the heels. And then onto the toes. And then come down to the heels. And then onto the toes. And then down to the heels and stop. So now with the whole of the body, including the neck being very, very still, take the hips back and then bend the knees again, all the way. Okay, heels into the ground. Yes, bend the knees again. Yeah, and then heels. So I've got my hands here to give you a bit more of a sense of what's going on. What do you feel is going on in the neck as you're sitting and standing? It's a bit of a trick question.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, that's the answer. The answer is you don't know because nothing's happening in the neck.
Okay.
You can sense it's not going into some big movement tension as you're sitting and standing. You could say it's remaining rather still or undisturbed. It's not changing very much in the act of sitting or standing. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Another way of saying that, you could say your neck is remaining free rather than going into a tension pattern as you're sitting and standing. And then heels. You could say that with the whole spine. The spine isn't changing also, is it?
No.
The pelvis is rotating at the end of the movement especially, but you could say the neck, which is part of the spine, and the rest of the spine, is not distorting or disturbing itself in the act of sitting and standing. Would that make sense? And heels. And so what part of you is that moving yourself out of a chair if it's not neck tension or back tension?
My legs.
Correct. Which part of the legs especially?
The thing I feel the most is actually my hamstrings.
Exactly, yes. So they're stretching. And where would you say the muscle demand is coming from?
My thigh.
Yeah, your quads, your thighs. Yeah, that's right. Any interesting sensations you're becoming more aware of?
Yeah. It's probably going to sound really odd, but
Go on.
when I think you're putting my head straight, it feels wonky.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's another example of what we were saying before. Although I'm not correcting it to be straight, it might feel a bit wonky in certain moments.
Yeah.
As in you'd like to do something. Well, would you like to? That one, yes.
Which is why I think it probably is constantly getting stuck.
Very good. Now stop doing that thing that corrects the wonky. Good. And now do the wonk down. Now do the correction again. Get back to what feels good.
Oh.
As in familiar.
Okay, what feels good is that. That feels comfortable.
Yeah.
And when you put my head more, I'm guessing more central, it felt odd.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel bad, it just feels...
Feels odd.
Yeah. Like wonky.
Yes, and then you'd want to do that little correction.
For my normal way.
It's the normal way, which is?
Just that.
Yeah.
So I can actually feel as I'm doing it that I'm actually...
Correct, you are. You're putting some into it.
And that's exactly where I always get the problem.
Yes, yes. So in the absence of that, you're going to feel a bit different in that area that gives you a sensation of discomfort, like a little knot. Even though it's more familiar, as in you feel you're doing the right thing.
But it's a constant knot.
But it's a constant knot.
I'm constantly doing this.
Yes, you're constantly doing that.
I know it's stuck.
Yes.
It won't release.
It won't.
Does.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for years and it just doesn't go.
Yeah. So now you're exploring what happens when you don't self-correct. See where we go. So, as in do that thing that makes you feel unwonky. You're not going to do this straight. Yes. And let me keep on moving you. And I can move you there and wait there for a while in a very, that's wonky on purpose right now. And I'm going to do wonky on purpose over here because it's just another position. And I'm going to do wonky over here again and wait there. Now soften behind the knees a touch. And also the eyebrows. And staying a little wonky as the hips come back and knees bend. And then hold it there for a while. That's fine. And hold it there. That's good. Do you still sense I'm making you a little bit wonky, a little bit not normal in that region?
I feel like it's sort of not clicking so much in the top of, like just by my scalp.
Where it normally clicks? Yes.
It normally is right under here where it literally joins.
Yes, that where, yes.
That's where it's always kind of not clunky, but I can feel it.
You can feel the movement. Yeah. And do you feel it a bit less at the moment?
Yeah.
What's that like?
A relief, actually.
A relief, yeah.
Because it does my head in.
Yeah, I'm sure it does, yeah. Don't change anything. So staying in this feeling of being a bit bizarre, maybe a bit wonky, but also a bit of a relief. You might have lots of feelings together.
I can feel it here.
Yes, I can see that too. Now I'm going to move you forwards. That's good, and I'll move you back again. And also same thing with the shoulders. So you can see a lot of the work, as we were talking about at the beginning, is about me supporting you feeling a bit wrong, wonky, not familiar, which is a bit of a shift from what we carry around in ourselves. You know, we'll forget about right and wrong, but unfamiliar doesn't feel like my normal sense of what I do with myself unconsciously. This isn't my normal way of sitting or moving or just being and talking. Here and here and here, yes, and there's still nothing to do. Wait there for a while. And then stand up with the heels and then bend the knees again. And hold it, wait, heels, and bend the knees again. And heels. How's the neck doing?
It feels a little less tense, actually.
A little less tense, yeah. I can see that because it looks softer around here. That's fine. And then heels, and bend the knees. Now I'm going to ask you a slightly more difficult question. You don't have to answer me. Do you get any register of the quality of your mind compared to, say, 20 minutes ago?
I feel a bit calmer, actually.
A bit calmer, yeah. Even with all these funny people watching.
It doesn't bother me now.
Yeah, so you feel a bit calmer.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that that goes hand in hand with the freedom of the neck. That softening of, I feel a little bit more settled in my soul, body, soul, goes hand in hand with all of it. And sort of a bit more, if I said that you're looking after yourself more gently, Would that make sense?
Totally.
What's it like to be a bit more gentle with yourself? Difficult, isn't it? Yeah. It is difficult. It's very difficult. I think it's the most difficult thing in the world. Yeah, to be gentle with yourself. Let me take you further forwards. Stop. Let me take you forwards again. And with all of that gentle self looking after, and wait there. And then stand up with the heels. Yes, and then bend the knees. And stop. And then heels. And bend the knees. Yeah, and then heels. That's fine. How's your lower back doing?
I can feel it releasing. Mentally, I can still feel myself trying to grip on.
Good. Yeah, the need or wish to grip on is there, but you can also feel yourself winning the battle. That actually you're not totally compelled to go back to gripping. That actually the Alexander part of you seems to be winning very successfully, which is interesting. The part of you that wants to be gentle with yourself is winning out over the compulsion or habit of wanting to grab. That's the little...
Bit of a control thing, I think.
Well, we're all control freaks, so join the club. Yeah. So you're right. So you've come off a bit of the control freakness and you've moved more into another zone. What could we call it when you come off the control freak impulse? What words would you have to describe that condition that you're in right now, where you're not giving in to this need to, but more,
I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, there's lots of words that could describe it. And the result is a certain quietness or stillness in your mind and a shifting in the musculature. Things start to move around differently. So you probably feel different.
I do. A bit spacey, actually.
A bit spacey, yes. More space and less compacting.
A bit like...
Yes. This is a drug-free high. It's a big secret. Yeah, it is a bit spacey. There's more space in you. There's more space in your neck. There's more space in your spine. There's more space internally as you're expanding, flowing. Because think about it, what does control freakness do for all of us? It makes less space. It goes, oh, I'm ready for this one. I'm good, I'm ready. And the absence of that is more spatial. Like the muscles are going, I'm not going to control you. You can recover your expansiveness. And that does change things around the neck, doesn't it? Isn't that interesting?
It is.
That's it, I'm taking you forwards again. Yes, and then back again. So if the neck's talking to you, what's the neck telling you right now compared to the beginning of the lesson or before the lesson? What's your neck saying right now?
It's definitely...
Stand up with the heels? Yes, what's it saying?
Probably thank God.
Thank God. That's a good one, isn't it? The neck says
About time.
About bloody time, yes. After how many years?
I don't know.
Shh. Yeah, but it's nice, isn't it, when the neck can say, thank goodness. Thank you for giving me some permission to not control you. It's a huge relief. Yeah. But it's quite a poignant relief as well, isn't it? Do you know what I mean by that? I know you do. That's it. Also behind the knees, they can also say thank goodness. The legs don't need to be straight. The face, neck, jaw, eyes, even behind the eyes. Yeah. All the way down through the softness of the legs down to the tips of your toes. Can say thank goodness you're not under my control, which is the higher level of control. Actually, you're more in control in a way because you can choose not to be a control freak, which is much higher level of control than control freakness, where we're controlled by unconscious control freakness. I don't know if you understand my twisted logic.
I tend to talk like that a lot.
So not being a slave to control freakness is a much higher level of really being in control of and self-mastery.
It's a hard one, I think.
It is a hard one. I think that's what we all struggle with, but there's a huge value in it, isn't there?
Yeah.
And Alexander was particularly interested in all the habits of control freakness that animate us all and cause trouble. And trouble especially for him in his voice, but also in his movements, also in his different parts of his anatomy that were unable to let go. That's good. And then quiet behind the knees. What does it require from you to inhabit this less control freakness right this moment? What does it require from you inside of yourself to inhabit this new way? Even the lips right now, that's good.
I'm trying to let go.
Yeah. So what it requires what sort of capacity inside of you? What does it require being in this condition and sustaining yourself in this new, rather?
I'm having to stay quite focused, not...
That's it. Not go off.
Focus.
That's it. Stay quite focused, yeah. You can't just leave it to its own devices at the moment. You have to, you're here in the room. Yeah, yes, yeah, that's fine. Look straight ahead. Come with my hands. Yes. And then stand up with the heels again. Yes. And then walk around the room. And then come back to the stool in your own time. Yeah. What's it like to walk like that?
I feel a bit like this.
Yes. Yes, you feel a bit floaty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's have you on the table for a little while. I've worked you really hard. And I've got the head and I'm going to place it on the books. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to lift an arm, and your role is to let me lift it without helping too much. Yeah, that's it. Did you hear that?
My stomach always does that.
So,
I have issues in my stomach.
I think that's an interesting issue right now. I think when it happened just then, it wasn't an accident.
Okay.
So when it happens just now, it coincides with a certain condition of your mind and your body. So what condition is your mind in right now, this second?
I would say kind of a blankish.
Blankish, yes, very, very still,
Yeah.
very blank, very unnoisy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mind has dropped
Yeah.
to, you could call it deep relaxation, blankness, lack of disturbance. Yeah, and so that gurgle that we heard just now is very, very common, that particular gurgle. Not all gurgles, some gurgles are when you're hungry or when you've had a funny meal, but this, that's the one. Now it's talking to you and it's saying, yeah, it's great. It's a very, very good sign. It shows that you're allowing deep biology to operate. You couldn't choose to do that on purpose.
No.
You can't say, you know what, I think I'll do a gurgle right now. So that gurgle is an indication of deep biology, biological functioning regulating itself. In the intestines, which is where processing happens, emotional as well as physical processing, digestion. And it can only happen when you're in a condition of extreme surrender, of blankness and undisturbedness. And you can probably sense what happens when your mind is extremely blank, what it's doing on your body level, apart from the gurgle. So what do you sense can happen in the neck and spine in this?
Proper relaxation.
Exactly, proper relaxation and release, without you trying to release.
Yeah.
In other words, that's deep biology doing the release, not, I think I'll relax and my neck, and I think I'll relax the spine, I think I'll Which doesn't work anyway. That you can't control yourself into relaxation. Yeah. How do you get into real relaxation? We're back to what's that word again? The opposite of control freakness. The let go thing, yes. The let go thing, the surrender thing. Yeah. And then when you're in the surrender thing that you called mind blank, I've rebranded my work sometimes as mind zero, you say mind blank, brain blank, same thing. Then the appropriate releasing happens variously in the body. The organs seem to operate better. Your breathing is much more... Can you sense the breathing rhythm?
Yeah.
And it's in a way, your deep biology that's making these choices for you, not the control freakness of the mind, the new mind, the cortex thinking, well, I need to do this with the neck, and I need to do this with the shoulders, and this with the breath, and this with my pelvis, and release the spine, and get some poise, and you're not doing any of that. Mm-hmm. But it's all happening because your system has, that's it, there's the gurgle again, deepened into the blankness where this reorganization happens by itself. How's this let go tomorrow managing?
It's feeling quite relaxed. Particularly at the front, which I can feel there's less tension here.
Yeah, well, I can see that. That's exactly right. So all of that stuff there is...
Yeah, I'm not...
Yes.
I'm always like this.
You're always like this, yes. Most of us are in some way or another. We're always like this. And you're quite right, you're not doing that now. And that, you can probably see, has a direct connection to the part of you that you told me for since God knows when has been holding on for dear life with a 1 or 2 out of 10 or whatever it is in the background, sometimes worse, when it grabs so much that you get this pain referring down the leg. Right now, what do you think you're doing with those parts? Just...
I'm not really doing anything.
You're not doing anything. Yeah. You're not doing anything in those parts at all. That's right. It's almost like you have faith that you know all the good stuff, the brilliance of your art form, that you know all the intelligence of and the beauty of ballet inside of you, that you know it all, it's all there, and it's now being liberated to do its own thing without you controlling it from the outside, but actually it's now manifesting from the inside out, which is a very different way of seeing your art form, because you're obviously a very talented performer and teacher. And what you're doing right now is another level of faith in your skills and in the beauty of the organism to lift itself and poise itself and flow, but from the inside out, and not what we often try and hold on to when it's going reasonably well from the outside in. How are you doing in the neck?
Yeah.
Still staying soft?
Yeah.
Can you hear that your voice is different? Mm-hmm. What can you distinguish between the normal Tamara voice and the now Tamara voice?
It's very quiet, and I kind of feel like, you know, if you've had a glass of wine too many but you're not drunk, that
yes.
kind of,
That's a great description, a glass of wine too many but not drunk. Yeah, so the chill side of it, but without the woozy side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it pleasant?
Yeah, it's weird. It's strange.
It is weird, isn't it? It's a different mind-body set, different headspace, different consciousness, different mind condition.
Yeah.
And I'm going to help you stay owning this condition in movement off the table and then back to the stool. Okay? So what I'll ask you in a few seconds is I'm going to ask you to roll over, and I'll help you with the supporting of the head, and then you'll swing round and sitting up on the side of the table. Yep, so I've got you here, and you can start to roll over. Yep, feet over the side, and then wait there for a while, and then help yourself off the table with your hands. Yeah, you've got it. And then look straight ahead. And then walk around the room until you reach the stool. Yeah, back to the stool. Yeah, and then all you go. Yeah. So I haven't repositioned you or anything, you're just sitting there like this for a while, you're not stuck, you can still move. Good. What's it like being you now?
Alien.
Alien.
Yeah. I feel really quite weird, but not in a bad way, just I don't know this at all.
You don't know it at all. On some level you do, but it may not be recently familiar, but it's probably old familiar, as in...
I don't know. I mean, if it is something from before, it must be so long ago.
I think it's, yeah, I think you're right. I think it is old, and then we get into habits of being that then become us. And then we forget that actually there's another way of being, which is...
And I think a lot of it's related to stress and trauma, which has been...
A lot of it is related to stress and trauma, and the way that we react to stress and trauma is to go into a place of vigilance, of readiness.
Yeah.
And where is the next emergency? We're constantly looking out, and then the neck goes into a spasm, and the eyes pop out of the head, and the eyebrows rise, the shoulders go rigid, and the whole back goes into a pull-up. And then we're ready for the next upset, because trauma usually keeps us bound in history.
I know.
And we've all been through various levels, and I'm sure you've been through whatever you've been through. And
my family, and so parents, grandparents, great-grandparents,
it's generational trauma. We talk about that in the class, that the traumas that we experience personally are not simply our personal histories, but histories of generational trauma, of persecution, annihilation, and terror, that go from generation to generation. And then it seems to, at a certain point, the buck stops at us and we have to do some of the work, even though the origins of this go back to parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. But we're left to do some of that work, which is both personal as well and also intergenerational. Yeah. But right now, you're not reacting to the trauma of the post-generation. You're in a different zone.
I am. I'm kind of...
On an edge.
Yeah. I'm on an edge because I kind of feel that.
That's right. Exactly. So that's the process. Yeah. That you're in a condition of not quite as ready as normal. Yeah. Which is quite moving. Yeah. So here is a difficult place to talk about these things, but it's quite emotional and touching. That you have more access to some of the softer emotions and not the safer emotions of I'm in control. So in another place you'd allow yourself to probably have a little cry and not know.
I don't let myself cry.
Exactly.
I hold it.
You hold it, yeah, but right now you're more in touch with that place where you could cry, but you don't have to cry, of course. I'm not asking.
I don't want to cry.
And you don't have to cry. But you're in touch with the experience that you could, which is all you need. You know, I'm not saying to you to go home and have a good cry, but the touching of the place that could cry is very healing. And you can see what that does to your neck and spine. It's quite dramatic. So you've done some amazingly brave, courageous, deep work today, very, very deep. And I can't thank you enough for volunteering your heart and soul and body to share with us all. And we can take it further, we can chat about it at a later point. I'm not leaving you dangling. Okay, that's fine. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
You take care.
Thanks.
Yeah, bye. Yeah.